Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Facebook and YouTube land. Hi, my papers would act right now. I am Lanora Tolliver with the Realtors Real Estate School, and this is the very next episode of Office Hours with Lanora. So thank you for joining me on today. Let's get started. Remember, Office Hours with Lanora serves 3 points. The first point is for those individuals that are seeking to start a career in real estate and don't know where to start, Office Hours with Lanora. Point number 2, for anyone that has started their journey and probably are taking a pre-licensing course or recently finished one to help them pass on that first attempt. Third, and not least, are those individuals that are already in the real estate industry. Help them to stay in the real estate industry. Those are the points and purposes of Office Hours with Lanora. So as you already know, I come before you a couple times or so per month, and we're going to be sharing some information today on some great interview questions to ask when searching for a sponsoring broker. So let's get started, because I have a list of roughly about maybe 20 questions or so that you might want to consider in pursuit of finding the right sponsoring broker for you. Now, these are just questions that I think are helpful. By all means, choose them if you want. Come up with your own, but maybe this is a way to help you filter out what might be a best fit for you, because of course only you know. The very first question that, and these are in no specific order either. The very first question that I came up with is, for you, when you're in that interview process with a sponsoring broker, ask them what is their specialty. And what I mean by specialty, do they generally specialize in residential transactions, commercial transactions, special use, like someone considering buying a mega church or something of that nature? I would recommend that you ask them what is their specialty. Question number 2, do you provide formal training to new brokers? You would be amazed how many students I talk to that say they never received formal training. What I mean by formal training, on the job, hands-on, boots on the ground experience. Is there someone in that office that can help you possibly fill out the paperwork, the contract? Yes, you have seen the contract or will see the contract in a physical classroom setting, but when you get out into the actual real world of real estate, it can be scary. So you want to make sure that there is someone there that can help walk you through your very first steps into the industry. Question number 3, is there a mentor to partner with new brokers here? Maybe is there a program in place, a mentor program for new brokers to possibly have them work with top producers? If there's a way to not reinvent the wheel, that's definitely one. So you want to kind of get up and running. And if this sponsoring broker offers something like that, chances are you're going to be able to make that learning curve a little straighter. Question number 2, what is your 30, 60, 90-day plan of success for me? Meaning you, the new licensee. So that's number one questions I ask when I speak with students. Make sure, or I tell them, make sure you ask them, the sponsoring broker, that. Because if there is no plan for you, then a lack of a plan means that you're probably not going to be successful. The goal is to make sure in 30 days, do we sit down and revisit where I've been? In 60 days, did I implement that plan from 30 days ago? In 90 days, have I closed? What can I do differently? Is this the right fit for me? 30, 60, 90-day plan. Always ask that. Question number 5, what cost am I required to cover as a new licensed broker? That's huge, because don't assume when you go into the office that you're going to have a desk, a phone, business cards, a support staff in place to help you. You need to ask that question, because you may ultimately have to pay for that. You may have to be the one to, although the company will have a general business line, you might consider having your own personal cell phone or a real estate dedicated specific phone and number so that clients and customers can contact you directly. Because what prevents someone from calling off of a general number to the office and forgetting your name and asking for someone to help them with the transaction? You always want business to come directly to you. But if that is an expense that, for in my example, that your sponsoring broker can cover, by all means, why not? Let's talk about question number 6. Am I required to have additional auto insurance? And probably out the gate, I'm going to tell you yes, because at this point, as a new licensed broker, chances are you're going to be working with buyers. And you may even have to drive the buyers around in your personal vehicle. By you putting someone else other than yourself and your family in your car for business purposes, it should increase the amount of coverage that you have. I'll use myself for an example. When I sold real estate, my limits of liability were 100, 300, 100. So the limits of liability can start from 20,000, 20, 40s, 20. It could be 50, 100, 50. You need to talk to both your sponsoring broker as well as your insurance provider, because you want to make sure that you're protected. Now, what those limits mean, 100, 300, I'll use as an example. For every person that's in the accident and you're deemed responsible for that accident, 100,000 would go towards doctor's bills or repairing a vehicle or an innocent bystander getting mowed down by your vehicle, whatever the case may be. 100,000 per individual with a maximum of 300,000 per accident. So always talk to the professionals in that specific industry. In this case, it's going to be your sponsoring broker as well as your auto insurance provider. Okay. Question number 7. What is the office culture? That's huge, because think about it. What if you're not, what if you're an introvert and now you're in an office with all of these extroverts and they want to, celebrate everything and party and people are loud, and or maybe you need to have that discipline in place where the office staff has a level of professionalism. They're dressed in business clothes Monday through Friday. There are no jeans, a no jean policy in the office. So there's always this level of professionalism that's exhibited. Not saying wearing jeans won't be professional, but you understand what I'm saying. There's a difference between business professional and business casual. What if the office, for example, celebrates various holidays or religious beliefs that you don't believe in? That could make it uncomfortable for you to be in that office. So you always want to make sure you understand and do a temperature check of what the culture is for the office to make sure that it's a right fit for you. Question number 7. Ask the sponsoring brokers, what is your market share? Some people, that's a big question, because they want to know that they're going to be working or partnering with a company that has the exposure factor that can help them, again, face that learning curve and get publicity out without them spending a ton of money. So knowing what the market share is, knowing what the farming areas are, those specific zip codes or blocks or cities that you plan to saturate with whoever you are and what you now are doing in real estate. Knowing what that market share is, because you want your dollars to be used effectively. And if your office that you're going to be partnering with, if the sponsoring brokers have a good saturation of that market, chances are that it's going to be easier for you to put your name out there too. Okay. Question number 9, will I be required to do floor time? Now, floor time might be something that's a little antiquated, but there are still several offices that are doing that. What floor time is, for those of you that don't know, Floor time is a way for people in the general public to call into the office or to walk into the office and say, hey, I need to work with a broker and I wanted to have someone represent me to show me properties, or I need someone to sell my property, or I'm thinking of building a property. They don't have a designated agent or broker or, licensee. So they're just in general calling or coming into the office looking for help. If you are the designated licensee, aka broker of the hour, of the 30 minutes, or however long the segment is, any transaction or any person that walks through that door or rings that phone during that hour that you're the floor time person or designated person, you get the business. So if you are required to do that, which as an independent contractor, I shouldn't say the word require, but if you sign up for it and you are there from whatever time, 9 to 10, you should be there. And if your office offers that and you're a new licensee, you should take advantage of that. That is a great way to drum up business. I happen to have closed a lot of deals that way in my day, okay? So let's talk about question number 10. How many licensees are in the office? And that's big for some people. For me, didn't matter, because I started out in an office where there was 180 agents at the time, and I was still able to be Rookie of the Year. So it's just a matter of what you want to do. But depending on the culture, depending on, say, a person that the new licensee, it might be an intimidating factor to be in an office with a bunch of other licensees. If you want to have that small, I don't want to say mom and pop, but you get what I'm saying, a boutique style office where there are a limited number of licensees in that office, then you have to decide if going to a larger office is going to be a good fit for you, okay? And you also want to know what's the mix. How many residential leasing agents are in this office? How many brokers? How many broker associates? Those are managing brokers that don't operate or serve or as the designated managing broker of that office. That's important to know because they shouldn't be your competition, but they are. And if you're feeling like you can't compete, if there's more brokers than leasing agents and you're a new broker, chances are you probably won't be able to. Question number 11. You probably want to know if that managing broker that you're going to be interviewing with, aka represents the sponsoring broker, the office, do they actively still sell real estate? Do they represent clients still? Because they can ultimately be your direct competition. And if you're not comfortable with working under the umbrella of a sponsoring broker where the managing broker still actively work in the field, that might be a problem for you. Because I know for me, I didn't want my managing broker working, not representing clients, I should say. I wanted them to be available for me. Now, you could be different. That shouldn't bother some people. To others, that was a specific request that I had or that I was looking for, because I needed my managing broker to tag along with me on my first showings and things like that, be available if I had different questions to ask. And I didn't want them to be in the middle of a transaction and unavailable to me. So that's just me and probably being a little selfish, but telling you the truth. Okay, question number 12. What or is there a clerical, administrative, or support system in place on the back end? So I'll give you an example. If you're coming in with your first transaction and you don't know how to process your file, because technically you've taken your client out and you're representing a buyer and they put a contract in and you need to submit your paperwork to the office, but you don't know how to do that. Is there a support system in place with an admin support to help you process that transaction so that you don't have any delays in getting paid, and making sure that your client has been thoroughly represented, that no document is missing, an initial or a check mark or something of that nature, or a piece of paper is missing that could potentially prevent you from closing. Okay. Question number 13. How is error and omission insurance paid? Error and omission insurance, or you can call it professional liability insurance, it's used to protect you, the licensee, from mistakes that you could possibly make in professional services. So if in that last question that I suggested, let's say that I missed getting the initials on a document related to the title for my buyer, and we went through the process of closing and something came up, and now the buyer needed to sue the homeowner, the seller, or sue my office, my real estate office, because I didn't get a specific initial. Now, this is an exaggerated example, but that's my fault. And error and omission insurance should cover me to an extent to cover any cost associated with litigation if I were to be sued. Because the last thing I want to do, like in the auto insurance, is have less coverage than I'm sued for. Because now people can attach themselves to your properties, to your home, to your investment pieces. Coverage. You want to know if that error and omission insurance will be paid per transaction that you're closing. Will it be paid monthly, or is it a lump sum payment that you have to pay out of pocket when you're joining and every year? Okay. Question number 14. Is commission negotiable with this sponsoring broker? That's important, because what if it's not? And a second, or part B to that question, is, does the commission that you are paid as the licensee change once your production increases? Do you want to stay at a specific number the whole duration of your career? If you're just starting out, chances are you're not making a lot of money. But what if, you got the Midas touch, and everything that you touch turns to gold, and you're closing, and you've built this reputation and this referral base? Do you still want to be making the same commission that you earned day one in year 7? No. So you want to make sure that there is a production scale in place, and what that scale looks like, as well as what's that gate that you entered into, and if that commission split with your sponsoring broker is negotiable. Well, let's stay right there when we're talking about money. Question number 15. Does your company offer a profit sharing or an opportunity to buy in with ownership shares? That's huge, because think about the market that we're in right now. It's a seller's market. Inventory is low. Chances are, if your home is pretty decent and you list it for sale, it probably will sell, and rather quickly. And let's say that you are working in an office where production is very high in that office, and they didn't foresee or forecast for a seller's market in 2021. And maybe they're ahead of forecast in April, where they expected to be X amount of number in April, but they've already, by December, but they've already reached that goal in April. You, as the new licensee, ask that question about profit sharing, because that could be residual income that comes to you over time, and even after you leave that company. Make sure you check about that. Extra money. Question number 16. If I leave, saying that you are the new licensee and you're posing this question to the sponsoring broker, for whatever reason, if we're no longer a match or a good fit, and I should choose to leave the office, what happens to my book of business? Let's say that you already have contracts or agreements, exclusive agreements, where you have listings where you represent the sellers, and you have some closings coming up where you represent the buyers. and it's all with your current sponsoring broker. If you should leave and you don't have an agreement in place, everything that you've started and have in place with that current sponsoring broker belongs to that sponsoring broker. And chances are you can risk being paid for the work that you've already done. So you need to have an agreement in place to know, have an exit plan. What happens if for whatever reason I should have to leave? Maybe you got a better commission split somewhere else, or it's closer to your home, or you're relocating to another state even. Know what your exit plan is, and if you get paid for the book of business that you've already earned. Okay? Number 19, what is the internet presence or footprint of said sponsoring broker? Where do you advertise? And lastly, who pays for that? Because you might have desk fees or monthly fees related to you being a licensee under the umbrella of that real estate sponsoring broker. You need to know what you're paying for. Don't assume that because you sign on the dotted line and you're going to be partnering with this company that everything is all inclusive. The business has to make money. That sponsoring broker has to advertise somewhere. They have to promote the business. Somebody has to pay for that. And chances are that's going to be you. Okay? The last question that I have, which really should be the first question, but I like to leave it for last, is ask the sponsoring brokers, what are your expectations of me? See how it makes a difference in knowing what they are looking for as well. Because what if you're not a good fit for their company? What if, again, you might be a new licensee that requires much more hand-holding than that sponsoring broker can offer? Give them the opportunity to tell you, thank you, but I don't think that we're going to be a good fit for you. Okay? So those are my 20 questions, and it's a good start, but it's just that, a start. You can finish or add or take away whatever works best for you. But those are the 20 questions what I think are great questions that you can ask a sponsoring broker as you're interviewing for various offices. Now, I do plan to come in the next few weeks with the follow-up of what questions I think sponsoring brokers should ask you, the licensee, about. So I thank each and every one of you for joining me on this live office hours with Lanora. I also want to let you know, of course, that we have classes coming up over at the Realtors Real Estate School. Those classes at this present time are still virtual, so it would be in the format of a webinar where you can work with a live instructor, set days and times, or you can work independently via our online platform or self-study. So keep in mind, May 3rd, which is my birthday, woo! May 3rd will be the webinars for evenings, 5:30 till 9:15, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. It'll take a little over 6 weeks to finish that way. May 10th, we'll start an accelerated format, which is a 2-week in length, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4:30 webinar. And I believe we'll start mornings only in June 14th. And Saturdays we'll pick up again in person, tentatively. We'll do in-person Saturday sessions starting in July, okay? Thank you all for joining me on this episode of Office Hours with Lanora. If you like to have a topic, for me to discuss a topic or questions about anything, feel free to reach out or drop those topic requests down in the chat, and I will be seeing you soon. Ta-ta for now. Bye-bye.